Hi, my name is Sharon Seiferth Garner, and it has been a joy to be putting together a proposal for the upcoming Spiritual Directors International Conference this coming spring. And the title of the workshop that I'm suggesting is Praying with Mandalas, Coloring as Intergenerational Prayer Practice. So the theme of this coming up conference, Across Generations, is very timely and feels very personal to me. Just a few months ago, my father passed away after several years of battling cancer and then spending about a month in hospice. And that has been a very kind of a transformational experience for me and a very sacred space to share together with him and with my family and others. One of the things that came out of that time was a nurse, a palliative care nurse who came to the house, asked my dad what his hopes were for this end-of-life chapter for him. And my dad, in his kind of quiet, gentle way, thought about it and then said, in his words, "I want to have a joyful death." Now, that didn't mean that he was going to deny the fact that there was pain and that there was grief and suffering that were part of this process. But what he really wanted was there to be joy at the heart of the process in addition to the struggle. And one of the ways that we kept joy at the heart of the process was through the spiritual practice of contemplative coloring, that we enjoyed coloring together. And one of the ways that we would color is we'd use this book that I have written called Praying with Mandalas, A Colorful Contemplative Practice. And actually the book is dedicated to my dad, which is kind of a nice little aside there as well. But even when it was hard to come by words, we would spend time together in the silence, praying, just being together and coloring. And that really was a gift of that stage together of coloring with one another. And it's that experience that I would look forward to sharing with folks in the workshop that I would love to offer to the family at the Spiritual Directors International Conference in the spring. At that workshop, my hope would be that it would be very much a hands-on experience. Hands-on in the sense that we're uniting our head, our hands, and our hearts through the actual act of coloring, but also the sharing of that sacred silence and the sacred space of contemplative coloring together. So the lecture in the workshop would actually be pretty minimal, that there would be some introduction to what Praying with Mandalas is all about and how coloring the circular designs can actually help us center ourselves in God and remember that God is at our center. So there would be a little bit of that at the beginning. There would be that introduction to Praying with Mandalas. But then the heart of the workshop would be actually praying with mandalas and having that experience of some space for contemplative prayer and renewal as part of the workshop. And then the close of the workshop would be sharing some resources about how to then take this practice of praying with mandalas back home with us. And that can either be using it in our own personal prayer life, or it could be in any other kind of ministry, whether that be a group at our church, whether that be hospice, whether that be in spiritual direction. I've actually found that sharing this method of praying with mandalas with some of my own directees has really been very meaningful to them. And so I hope that this workshop would be information and inspiration at the same time. In addition to the Praying with Mandalas workshop, what I would like to offer as well is something that I call a Prayer Mandala Wall. When I've presented Praying with Mandalas at other conferences around the country, we've done this Praying with Mandala Wall, and it really has become just this beautiful visual representation of our collective prayers. And what it is it's providing space for folks during kind of the activity of the conference to come to the space set apart for rest, for silence, for coloring of mandalas, and just a place for some some soul space for renewal. And when folks are done with the coloring of the mandalas, then they have the opportunity to put that mandala onto the Prayer Mandala Wall if they so desire. And what happens over the course of the conference is that this wall then grows into this just colorful, beautiful visual representation of our collective prayer together, which really is just a delight to see and to be a part of that kind of visualization of our contemplative prayer. Then when the conference is over, I would take the prayer mandalas and I would actually share them with inmates through the upper room prayer ministry, which is really a lovely way to then share our experience from the conference in a broader context. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen, to learn a little bit about praying with mandalas, and to consider this workshop. I'm looking forward to our time together at the conference next spring. Either way, the topic just seems so timely and personal to me that I know I will be fed by our time together there. So again, thank you for your time. And as I often like to say, pray calm and color on. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.